All right, so get this. We're doing a deep dive today on The Taxi Driver.
Okay.
And well, it's this short story.
Yeah.
But it's got me thinking a lot about all those weird little moments, The ones that, like, totally shake up your day, totally out of the blue.
Yeah. Yeah, like those chance encounters.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Our source material, it's not just the story itself.
Hmm.
It's these excerpts, and they seem to be brainstorming notes, all in Russian.
Wow.
And the ideas are wild. I mean, there's magical realism, detective stuff, even a bit of romance sprinkled in there.
Huh. Interesting
But
mix.
The Taxi Driver, it's different. It's way more grounded, like slice of life.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
see. So how does the story, like, how does it fit in with all those other, like, wilder ideas?
That's what we're going to figure out. It's like we're getting a peek inside the author's head,
Right, right.
trying to see what made them choose this story out of all the possibilities.
Makes you wonder what makes a story stand out, right? What really grabs a reader.
Totally. So, okay, let's start with the story itself.
Okay.
We've got Alina, our main character. Picture her.
Yeah.
Totally exhausted. It's been a long day in Moscow. The city's got this dreary vibe going on.
I can imagine.
All she wants is to get home, escape it all. So she hails a taxi,
Sounds familiar.
and that's where things take a turn.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And get this, our taxi driver, Maxim, he's not just some random guy behind the wheel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The story, it describes his voice as calm, velvety.
Velvety.
Right.
Interesting choice of words.
Right. There's this depth to him, something that just pulls Alina in. They end up having this deep, insightful conversation
What about?
about finding meaning, even when things are rough. I have to admit, I was hooked from that moment.
Yeah, there's something about those unexpected conversations.
Totally. It's like you think you're in for just a normal ride, and then bam.
Life throws you a curveball.
Exactly. And their conversation, it goes all over the place.
Give me an example.
Books, music, even stargazing. Things you wouldn't usually chat about with a taxi driver,
Yeah,
right?
not your typical
Yeah.
small talk.
Definitely not. But Maxim, he's got this wisdom, this way of looking at the world that just, I don't know, it captivates Alina. She forgets all about being tired.
Lost in the conversation.
Completely.
Yeah.
But then the ride ends and they go their separate ways. Poof.
So it's like a missed connection almost. You're left wondering if they'll ever meet again.
Exactly. And that feeling, that unresolved tension, I think the author did that on purpose.
To keep us hooked.
Totally. It sets the stage for what happens next.
I know.
And that's where the library comes in, right? So weeks go by. Alina's browsing for books, and she gets this feeling.
What if someone's watching her?
Yeah, like someone's watching her. So she turns around, and boom,
Maxim.
Maxim.
Mhm.
It's almost like fate, right?
It's a little too perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's the point. And think about the setting. They meet in a library.
The library, right. It's not just random. It's like symbolic.
Totally. It represents like shared interests, a love of learning, a quiet space where they can connect.
Makes their connection even more special.
Right. And the way the story describes it, their reunion, it's like they've been waiting forever to find each other. Almost magical.
I get that, but it's also like grounded in reality, right? They bond over books. They just enjoy being around each other.
Exactly. It's this perfect blend of the ordinary and the extraordinary. I love how this story plays with that.
And that's what makes it so, I don't know, so relatable. Like, it suggests that even in our everyday lives, there can be these moments of, like, magic.
And those moments, they can change everything.
Think about it. Have you ever had one of those chance encounters that just stayed with you?
All the time. Makes you think about all the connections we miss.
Right. Like, maybe we should all be a little more aware, more open to possibilities, because you never know who you might meet.
Or what kind of conversation might just, I don't know, change your whole perspective.
And that idea, it keeps coming up in the author's notes, too, but the taxi driver, it feels different.
How so?
It's like all those other ideas, they're full of magic and fantasy,
Yeah.
right? But this story, it strips all that away.
And focuses on the magic of, like, real human connection.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, why did the author choose to ground the story in reality when they had all these, like, crazy ideas to play with?
Maybe they're saying, hey, we don't need magic spells to experience something truly magical.
Maybe the most powerful stories, they're the ones that reflect our own lives, our own search for, connection and meaning.
I think you're right. There's something universal about this story. It's like it speaks to that part of us that just wants to feel connected, to know we're not alone in the world.
Exactly. And then there's Maxim. We don't know much about him, right? But he has this huge impact on Alina.
Right. And I keep thinking, why did the author make him such a mystery?
Because it works.
Yeah.
The author gives us just enough to make us curious, but then we get to fill in the blanks.
Like we create our own version of him in our minds.
Makes him even more intriguing.
For sure. It plays on that human need to know, to unravel the unknown.
Right, and it's such a contrast to those other characters in the notes, with their backstories and all that.
Maxim's allure. It's that he's ordinary. A taxi driver, someone you could pass on the street, but he has this hidden depth.
It makes you wonder who you're missing out on meeting, right? Just going about your day.
Totally. And speaking of mysteries, can we talk about that ending? It's like it just hangs there, leaving you with so many questions.
The open ending, right? They leave the library together talking, but we don't know what happens next.
Do they stay together? Do they drift apart? I need answers.
But that's the beauty of it. The author's like, here's the story, now you finish it.
It's like we become co-creators of the story.
It's so cool, a simple taxi ride, but it sparks all these possibilities in our minds.
I know, it's making me rethink all those little moments in my own life, the ones that seemed insignificant at the time.
Right. It's like maybe those moments hold more meaning than we realize.
And the library, too. It's not just a setting, it's like a symbol of their shared passion for books.
That shared passion, it becomes this bridge between them, a way to connect on a deeper level.
It's something we can all relate to, right? Finding those connections through shared interest.
Absolutely. Whether it's books, music, whatever, those common interests can make you feel like you belong, like you're not alone.
Okay, so we've talked about the characters, the setting, the themes, but let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Why do you think the taxi driver stands out from all those other story ideas?
That's a good question. Maybe it's the simplicity. Like in a world that feels so crazy and chaotic.
There's something comforting about a story that focuses on just human connection.
Yeah, it's a reminder that magic doesn't have to be, big and flashy. Sometimes it's the quiet moments that really matter.
I love that. Like the author saying, hey, look around. Magic is everywhere, even in the ordinary.
Exactly. And maybe they're also asking us to think about our own lives. Are we too busy looking for the big moments that we miss the magic right in front of us?
It's like a challenge to slow down, pay attention, and find the extraordinary in the everyday.
And to appreciate those chance encounters, those little conversations that might seem insignificant at first.
But could actually lead to something really special.
Exactly. Maybe we should all be a little more like Alina, open to the possibility of connection.
And trust that even in our routines, there's always potential for magic to happen.
Absolutely.
It's like the author gave us this tiny seed, and it's all like, okay, now go plant it in your imagination and see what happens.
Right. And it's so different from all those other ideas, the ones in the notes,
Yeah.
those fantastical plots, the cool and all. But the taxi driver, this one, it's like it wants us to help create the story,
I know what you mean. It makes it feel so much more personal.
like our own.
And it's amazing how much it sticks with you, even without, any crazy plot twists.
Exactly. It's the small things, the quiet moments that really stay with you.
Like that description of Maxim's voice, oh my gosh.
Right. And the way they connect over books.
And the library itself, the atmosphere, so perfectly described.
It all comes together to create this sense of intimacy, like a longing for connection.
It makes me wonder if, we're so busy chasing the big moments that we miss the magic in the everyday stuff.
Maybe that's part of what the author's trying to tell us, that real connection, like real meaning, it's hiding in the most unexpected places.
Sometimes it's the quietest encounters that really, make a difference.
The ones that sneak up on you.
I'm definitely looking at those little moments in my own life differently now.
Me too. It makes you appreciate them more, right? Those unexpected connections.
It reminds us that every conversation, every little interaction, it could mean something.
We just got to be open to it, I guess.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into The Taxi Driver, what's your biggest takeaway? What are you going to be thinking about long after we're done here?
I think for me, it's that reminder that magic, real magic, it doesn't have to be, loud or flashy.
It can be the simplest thing.
Exactly. A shared look, a chat about a book, bumping into someone at the library, those little things.
It's about being present, being open, and seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary stuff, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's a perfect way to end our little adventure then.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too. Thanks for joining me on this journey into The Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
I hope it's inspired you to look for a little magic in your own life.
And to have those unexpected conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep connecting, everyone.